Yes, I'll start with 1 day time frame and with Binance. The way I see here is uh, nice balance, but it's at a level. So if you look at, there are two patterns in this one. First pattern is, let me use the blue box itself, so I don't have to add something more, anything. So this is more recent pattern where you see inverted left, but there was a potential of inverted head and shoulder, means upside down head and shoulder. This is a shoulder, this is head, and then so when it started coming down from here, or there I in fact, before even coming down, when it was here, I mentioned about a potential pattern, inverted head and shoulder. When this is not new, I saw this many times. That's why I was suspecting, because of the behavior, and you may say experience, that going from here right away might not be the case. Maybe it will loop back, so it may create another loop like this and go up, with a condition, that when it comes down, there will be a checkpoint, right? And that checkpoint will basically validate whether it will complete the shoulder or go down. And that checkpoint, we saw what happened, so I updated everyone that it broke. So basically the inverted head and shoulder is not happening. This is what happens. So you, as a TA, you spot a pattern that you think might develop, and then there are conditions. As long as the condition is met, or conditions are met, you can track the price action based on the pattern, right? So when it was coming down, we had this arch, and then it could have gone up like this, but this was a moment because this level was important level, and it broke, right? There was no sign of bounce, so this didn't happen. Otherwise this would have gone up like this. Okay, now what I'm, so this is a local pattern which is broken. However, it has expanded the pattern, and if you look at and I'll cover whole entire part. So focus on the blue part. Very interesting. This is, I don't know, I mean, this is a bigger W, but not in a regular W form, but I'll try to highlight it. Very different pattern. I don't know, there is no name as far as I know, but be with me. This is still W, but it's not easy to spot. Okay, in this one, what we are seeing here, this one, actually you can relate this point with this one. Okay, as far as symmetry is concerned, maybe I'll make it darker. What is it? Where did I copy? Okay, it's here. Oops. Why it's not? Okay, now something like this. So earlier I shown to you the inverted head and shoulder and the level. So now for this pattern, I believe that this is the symmetry, and if this is broken, and if it continues going down towards S6, and if it, then even that this pattern will break. That means below S6 is a big risk, or at least warning. In fact, this pattern will be broken, the W will go away, something else might create, might form, but point is the bullish pattern will go away, that's for sure. Okay, and there is always something, and I'll be able to spot that as well. But the point is, so it has gone down and retested this 32, went up, nice height, and went down. You can say retest of this low acceptable, as far as this particular wave is concerned. So this wave, if you look at it, it came down all the way here. So this is a retest of this level, okay, the whole entire thing. And this bounce is a recovery of this bounce. As part of that bounce, you can say this is this again a counter trend, which is a retest of this, right? So this particular move is a retest of this a bigger move, okay, and this particular downside move is a retest of this. So as long as, so this is so far so good, I would say. Also this particular bounce was very strong, and it reached this level, not an ordinary bounce for sure. And bounce from this also very technical, I'm telling you. I added this box, it went up from this box, we saw that what happened. This level was also technical level. To me, there's nothing right now happening beyond technical. Yeah, reasons are fundamentals. I mean, there could be reasons, many reasons, and there's no one right reason. I mean, everybody has different interpretation, and I appreciate everyone's opinion. And of course, I have my own opinion, and it could be contradictory to some of your opinion. It is possible. That's all right. Here, it's not about proving the point, right? As long as we are able to trade in a right direction, that matters. So reasons could be anything. What matters is it behaving as per our expectation or not, as far as price, as far as different levels are concerned. And I believe that it is, because if you look at the whole entire move, we are able to figure it out what it's trying to do. At least we are one step ahead of the of this game, right? So at least there is no surprise. Okay, fine. Why, if it bounced from here, not a surprise. It retraced from here, not a surprise, and so on. Now if you look at now, it is resting at this level, and because this is exact symmetry of this orange dot that I have added here, it might spend some time. You may say that this session is being recorded, so I'll keep everyone on mute. So you may say that this particular level, anything above S6 is the most critical level, because the whole entire bullish pattern will deform and go away. In fact, it will be invalidated, right? So in other words, retest did happen, as I said, retest happened for this one, and this one is a retest of this. This is how it works, right? Inner pattern, like pattern is built up like one after another. There is a parent, then a child, another child, and a child, and that's how it works. It's it's a recursive in manner, and you may say in some cases fractals. Okay, so if it comes down and goes below S6, then it's trouble. Then it will be in trouble for sure. And these are the different levels. Okay, you have to decide what you want to do when. Okay, but from my point of view, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understand, from at least technical point of view, that what are the key levels, what is happening, what might happen if certain levels are broken, and so on. I added this as a launchpad because if it is able to break above, it's not likely to stop, unlikely to stop. Okay, because this is still a bullish pattern, but on edge. Okay, and 50k level, probably I should remove it, because the next big level is actually 53k. But from my experience, if it is able to break about this, maybe I'll change it to 53, because it's a technical level. Maybe I should keep it. Maybe look at, you can say, if there are two approvals are needed, 53k would be the second approval and a final approval. Okay, that would be, I think, a good way to portray here. So this is my first approval, breaking above whatever, like let's say 46k. 46k is my first approval. For 53k would be the second approval. Once we get this levels achieved, we are talking about new all-time high. Okay, with a very high probability. So whatever is happening, we need to be careful. There could be opportunity, but it's very hard to take opportunity because it's very time sensitive. Unless you're online and you see some coin going up and all, it's very hard. I mean, you can take help of Spectrum. It will be available for you and locally, so you can track more closely, because I saw Spectrum is very accurate so far. It's anything new requires some time to see, because I would not say it's perfect. There's always some tuning required, but it has been running for 2 months now, and I haven't changed it at least for last 1 month or so, right? And so far doing good. So if it continues doing good, that can be a really very handy tool for you, as far as identifying even short-term opportunity, and of course key levels, right? We'll look into that as well. Have at least a quick look. So this information is with you, very simple. There is nothing to be done. The whole entire thing is can be mechanical, like process. If this happens, do this. Otherwise, do that. There is no mind. I mean, depends. I mean, you can always apply your own style and analysis. But as far as my tea is concerned, this is very simple layout. This above 46K is first approval, above 53K is second approval for all-time high, right? And this is already start actually triggered a risk, but not a major trend level risk at this moment. The risk is more at, you know about losing value, which is also risk, of course. So there are two types of risk, if I may categorize. One is there is no opportunity. So if someone wants to buy, is likely to face challenge or loss. So that risk, right? Even short term is challenging here. Long term, when we say long term, we talk about trend level, right? So which is about this trend, or I may say trend which started from here. So this is first one, second one, and then move on. So this is huge consolidation, and it's all about balance, right? And it's all about balance. So let's look at our not this one with stamp, right? So look at this one. The weekly is not that bad. It's still green, but what you're observing here, more than 50% of the candle is eaten up. You see, which is not a good sign. And this is a mid-level. We have been tracking for very long, right? There's nothing new in this. This is a very simple chart, and but very effective in my opinion. We wanted to break about this level, which is and I added a strip, actually, the band. And if you look at it, it's also indicating 45K. In my extent, 46K is, so it's in line with what the daily chart we saw, right? What we are seeing here is definitely there are multiple attempts, so we can take that as positive move. Why not, right? That it doesn't want to give up. It doesn't want to um, go down. That's for sure. It's not easy for BTC to go down. There are defenders, there are protectors, there are people who have interest probably to make sure. The Friday's pump that we saw, reason could be anything. One of the reason definitely is the Swift payment ban, because it happened right after Biden's speech. So I would say that pump was purely because somebody tried to use. But I have my doubt as well on that. But that's the nearest logical reason. Maybe that is one of the reasons. Is it was definitely technical reason, and bot triggered it, and also the Nasdaq triggered it. So I think there are multiple reasons. Just if you look at Nasdaq, it also pumped at the same time. So the Biden speech is was probably the trigger. Of course, the Bitcoin would trigger more. So I posted a chart with the Nasdaq. If you look at that chart on BTC daily, the BTC is in line with Nasdaq. The only difference is the Nasdaq is weaker than BTC in terms of bounce. So the shape is not the same. But if you compare the endpoint, that's why I added blocks for you to compare the endpoints. from where it is rejected from it, where it bounced. So the Nasdaq has made lower low and then a lower high where you can look at it. Very interesting. But essentially, both are in sync. Okay, so definitely Bitcoin and Nasdaq. If you look at Nasdaq, even now today, is weaker and going under pressure. So I have my own opinion on Nasdaq. I don't think it's about Russia, Ukraine, because first of all, accept some commodities. Um, there is no major trade partnership with these two countries, let me tell you. So if this was China, Taiwan, then I would say yeah, then it's a big deal. But I don't think so. What the US and Ukraine is not an exporter, and the only thing that Europe is importing from Russia is oil and gas. Now, in that also, they're not banning it. So that's interesting part. Even there is dependency, the channel is not broken. So trade point of view, there's no whatever sanctions are sanctions on the financial payment. So anyway, that's my opinion. That this war, of course, there is a sentimental thing, but I think the Fed, the QE, which is ending this month, and the Fed is um, going to start interest rate hike, and I think market is what anticipating because of higher inflation because of oil. The Fed might do frequently, like multiple hikes. No, so they are going to go with a 25 basis point, as Chairman Powell said. But I think they are going to be so. We cannot time it. We cannot speculate. But what my understanding is, Bitcoin is more closely following Nasdaq, and Nasdaq is driven more on inflation and more like more monetary policy and more Fed and domestic situation rather than Ukraine Russia. That's my take. Okay, there is definitely indirect. There are indirect reasons, but the direct reasons are more Fed's policy and inflation, I believe, that is impacting the growth stocks. So anyway, so right now, if you look at weekly, weekly third attempt, major attempt, we don't want weekly to turn red. So what level? So when we are talking weekly, the levels could be a little different, right, than what we talk about daily. I would say the weekly low is 37K, 37,468 on Bitstamp, right? So 37K range. So this has to be protected, right, from a weekly point of view. That means it cannot go down by 10% from here on. Now, it's crypto is funny game. I mean, if you look at it, if it went up, went down, went up, and then came very close to this one. So I'm not saying it will happen again, but it could. So it came down. If you compare this low with this low, this high with this high, and this low with this low, and then this bounce with this bounce, and this there could be another downside move which is equivalent to this one and touches the white line again and then shoot up. It is a possibility. So when I'm tracking weekly, I would emphasize more on this white line, which is at this angle, because it has been effective. If you look at it, it has been effective. So why not? So to me, of course, this low is this start risk would trigger from here on, of course, if this turns red. But from protection point of view, from potential bounce point of view, support point of view, this line becomes very important, right? Because if you look at this, this is a pivoting. I mean, this is a key support. Like, look at this one, three major bounces from here. So even if it goes down, this could be the final one, in my opinion. See, there are always some bound supports, and as I said, we can find out support. My method is simple. We don't know which bounce will change the change the track or direction. Nobody knows, not just me. Nobody knows. but our attempt is to find different levels, right? What all levels need to be tracked? So I would say this level, first level on a weekly is once the low or opening is the most important, then this one is the most important, then this one is the most important, and of course ultimately this one, and so on. And see, if Bitcoin goes down to this level, now the probability of new low goes up significantly, because when you look at this structure, it is good as long as it's making higher low. But in this region, if it comes down to this region, it will be very hard. I mean, statistically, historically speaking, technically speaking, it is not easy for it to survive from here on, right? So anyone who is bullish and long need to be extra careful when it comes down to this level, because then it could go down really deep, starting from 27K and then 24K, and that can be lower level, which we will see as and when it happens. But it's important on a, because some of you might be tracking at a higher level, so you might, in that case you may ignore on the Binance one, right? In that case you refer this week's low, and then I would say this particular candle's low, which is what, 34K, right, roughly. So 34K becomes the second most important, and of course last one is this red one, and so on, right? So you if you are tracking weekly, then these are the levels for you, correct? And yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, in weekly also 46K level is required, and 53K level is required for it to, because then the balance will change. So right now we don't have to think about doomsday scenario, but at the same time we don't have to think about the moon and all, right? We have to be just observant and vigilant here. So that's what I think makes sense. Otherwise, and we have to be careful what side it takes, right? So, and we'll be able to figure it out. It's not easy, it's not difficult. um, so far the balance is maintained, and it's on edge. But, okay, so with that note, I end this recording and open for any question you might have.